incentives donations to any chief minister's relief fund, diverts crores in potential state revenue to PM cares, and makes the states largely depend upon the center. Furthermore, suspension of MPLADS, MPLADS, and diversion of the funds to Consolidated Fund of India may not be in concurrence of cooperative federalism, as it discourages locally tailored solutions by the MPs. MPLADS means Members of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. It is also under the control of central government. In this scenario, states in India have fully become dependent on the union government for finances. Managing COVID-19 disaster. For instance, the zone classifications into red, orange, and green have evoked sharp criticism from several states. The states have demanded more autonomy in making such classifications. This is despite the fact that the state consultation is a legislative mandate cast upon the center under the Disaster Management Act of 2005, that is called as DMA 2005, under which binding COVID-19 guidelines are being issued by the center to the states. Note, the Disaster Management Act 2005 envisages the creation of a national plan under Section 11, as well as the issuance of binding guidelines by the center to states under Section 6 sub 2 in furtherance of the national plan. However, Section 11 sub 2 of the Act mandates state consultations before formulating a national plan. Let us discuss about the migrant crisis. The influx of migrant workers into their home states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh, which already face severe financial and medical deficits, would worsen matters for the states. The sustenance of agricultural, industrial, and construction activities would be difficult in the absence of a majority of the workforce in the backdrop of lifting of restrictions, given these workers are going back to their hometowns. In this case, both center and states failed to devise a coherent and holistic plan of action to avert the migrant crisis in India. Steps to be taken. Short-term measures. The limit imposed by FRBM Act must be relaxed so that states who are falling short of funds can borrow money to combat the pandemic and revive the economy. These borrowing can be backed by sovereign guarantee by the union government. The union government can provide money to states so that they can take necessary action to deal with the crisis at state level. The union government should direct FCI to move the grains from the gardens to states. FCI means Food Corporation of India. A successful approach to tackle the crisis would still need center's intervention and guidance in facilitative manner, where the center would communicate extensively the best practices across the states, address the financial needs effectively, and leverage national expertise for scalable solutions. Long-term measures. The recent meeting by Indian PM with the chief ministers of states is a testimony of cooperative federalism. In this context, the government should consider making the Interstate Council a permanent body. Management of disasters and emergencies should be included in the list 3, in concurrent list of the 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. An Interstate Trade and Commerce Commission should be established, which will help realize the idea of One India, One Market. Arbitrary control of union over states through the institution of governor and Article 356 must be chucked. Coronavirus is a test of India's cooperative federalism. Let us look after this. A state-led response with central support of funding and response advisory frameworks can increase efficiency and avoid fissures in center-state relations. In the current times, every country across the globe is engaged in a battle against COVID-19. The architecture of a country's constitution influences its response to this pandemic. Authoritarian countries' response is quite different from that of the democratic countries. The Constitution of India provides for a federal system of government wherein the purview demarcation of legislative subjects of center and states is clearly defined. The framers of our Constitution adopted the federal system, taking into cognizance the socio-cultural diversity of the country. They believed that the federal system will serve the dual objective of efficient governance, which requires an understanding of the context and ensuring national unity with regional autonomy. Against the backdrop of the central and state governments dealing with the unprecedented crisis of COVID-19, this article attempts to analyze how declining federalism is weakening India's response to this pandemic and how decentralization can go a long way to tackle this crisis of nature. Federalism in light of battle against COVID-19. On 24th March, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation and announced a 21-day national lockdown, effective from midnight. It was done by invoking the Disaster Management Act, DMA 2005, which gives overriding power to the central government over the states in terms of administration. As reported, the chief ministers of the states were not consulted before implementing nationwide lockdown. This unilateral response from the government has put a mirror to some of the fault lines that exist in our federal structure. While the move was well timed, given the gravity of the COVID-19 situation, it underlined a lack of synchronization and communication between the center and state governments, which led to mismanagement at various levels during the lockdown execution. This translated into various governance and financial problems. Planning and response. Most states which had not yet implemented a lockdown of this degree and scale were caught off guard after the announcement. With a 4-hour time frame before the lockdown, state had to do a lot of heavy lifting to ensure that relevant policies and processes were in place. The rapid lockdown execution requires states to create a customized state response for the lockdown, catering both to the basic needs of all state citizens as well as the specific requirements of vulnerable sections such as daily wagers, who would be the hardest hit. States' responses to the lockdown, such as protocols for COVID management, guidelines for provision of essential supplies, travel, and creating social support system, took a while to be put in place, effectively bringing many places to a standstill. Due to the time crunch, there seemed to have been more misses than hits, especially for the vulnerable sections, with instances of migrant laborers traveling back to their hometowns en massive, misinformation braving about crop harvest collection, and distressed citizens facing issues in collecting their entitlements from the government. On ground management, the mitigation strategies for the lockdown involved checking out targeted programs, setting up infrastructure, managing logistics, etc., among others. The successful execution of these required extensive coordination among governmental stakeholders. The sudden imposition of the lockdown caused information asymmetry for mid-management officers such as cluster and block level officers and the frontline workers, example, Anganwadi workers, ASHA workers, etc., who are among the first public touch points for the citizens, with such officers not being aware of matters such as status of critical government service delivery, example, ration across access, ration access. Micro level management suffered on the ground in initial phase. A longer time allowance for states would have enabled the states to communicate effectively with both government functionaries as well as citizens. Systems such as the emergency helplines, the ground level local workers, example, self-help groups, youth volunteers, etc., could also have been mobilized to ensure information outreach at the last mile before the lockdown was enforced. Fiscal preparedness. States are facing a serious financial resources crunch while addressing the lockdown. At a time when expenditure on public health and relief efforts is increasing multifold and the economy is slowing, diminishing direct revenues are acting a big hurdle for states to battle this pandemic. A state's direct revenues majority consist of stamp duty and land registration and excise duty on alcohol and petroleum products. Due to the lockdown, land registration has come to a standstill and revenue from excise duty on alcohol and petroleum products have also reduced. The national relief package for states was only announced 10 days after the first lockdown. Adding to the financial distress, a state's borrowing capacity is limited due to the fiscal responsibility and budget management, that is FRBM Act 2003. States are further financially restrained as they avoid the GST dues from the center since November 2019. Overall, the sudden lockdown without any notice had a significant opportunity cost as it led to dissonance between the center and states. Financial strains and pushed a large part of population to the verge of poverty and starvation. The centralizing tendency of the center government points to the lack of an open channel of communication, coordination, and collaboration between center and the states. These cleavages in Indian federalism have come to the spotlight with COVID-19. Increasing trend of centralization in multiple choice spheres. Increasing centralization during this pandemic is not a one-off incident. It is a part of the broad trend in recent times towards surging centralization in legislative, finance, and administrative matters. Legislative centralization has been demonstrated through instances such as the conversion of the state Jammu and Kashmir into a union territory without the consent of the state legislative assembly, signaling a move towards a unitary system over a federalistic one. In the financial sphere, the states have heavy fiscal dependence on the center as they receive a component of the direct taxes and the state goods and service tax, that is GST, and a part of the integrated goods and service tax, all of which are collected by the center. Prior to the introduction of the GST, the states were able to draw a large chunk of their revenues by taxing goods and services in their geographies. The states have now lost financial autonomy on this front as they can't raise GST rates as per their discretion. Lessons for the future. In responding to COVID-19, while the center has thus far taken the driver's seat through its centralized response, we believe that it should pivot to a role in which it enables and empowers the states to steer their own roadmaps for managing the situation. The national lockdown has proven that India is too diverse a country to be governed through blanket decree, such as a sudden national lockdown. In hindsight, a lot of mismanagement could have been avoided had the state CMs been consulted before the lockdown announcement and sufficient notices was provided. This is because states are better suited to design policy responses than center, tailoring overarching guidelines to their context and prepare the ground considering the state's COVID-19 burden, demographic diversity, and unique challenges. For instance, the center could have restricted itself to laying the terms for COVID-19 testing and treatment and defining the interstate and international movement of people and goods, and have deferred to the states for deciding upon the rest by provision of operating guidelines and advisories. This would have ensured a centralized control over critical aspects affecting all the states, such as migrant travel, who also allowing states enough autonomy to tweak the guidelines as per their context and efficiently govern on their internal affairs as per the local needs. The emergence of the Kerala model shows merit in states checking out a strategy bearing in mind the disease burden, the state capacity, and state citizen behavior in the state. Kerala balanced severe restrictions with social support programs to achieve a decline in cases. The recent instance of the center sending out officers to the select states for monitoring has not been well received by the states. Like West Bengal, the questions have been raised about the criteria of selection of particular states. To ensure the states have confidence in the center, it's, it is critical for the center to include them in the deliberation, discussion, than ever institutionalize a structure for dialogue between the center and states, such as an interstate council, to ensure two-way communication, coordination, and collaboration, and eliminate chances of distrust and mismanagement. This could formalize the recent video conferences held by the Union with all the states, a firm step in the right direction. It would signal the collaborative outlook of the center towards the states, which needed to contain the outbreak. Given the state's high dependence on the center in terms of revenue allocation, it is critical for the states to have at their disposal revenue streams as they are the ones handling the crisis on the ground. Before the lockdown, the release of a support package and other due finances from the center would have ensured that states had ample financial resources to spend on public health, lockdown enforcement, and welfare support to mitigate the crisis from the beginning. At this juncture, the center can still fiscally empower states through various ways, allowing them to borrow more, clearing their GST dues and GST compensation fund dues on an immediate basis and increasing the revenue allocation to the state for financial year 2020 and 21. In recent times, the people across the globe have shown their increased faith in strong leaders who have a tendency to centralize things and consolidate power, and a situation like the COVID-19 has provided a fertile ground for further centralization and consolidation of powers. However, as we have observed above, a one-size-fits-all approach has hampered our response to this pandemic. In a democratic country like India, where many states are dominated by regional parties, we hope that this pandemic once again reignites the debate of cooperative federalism. Lastly, I want to conclude my session. The Constituent Assembly of India studied various democratic federal models in the world and formulated a system suited uniquely to India's needs. Further, it is argued that a strong center does not necessarily presuppose weak states. As a result, India adopted cooperative federalism, essentially defined by administrative cooperation between center and states and among states. Therefore, both union and states should work together to tackle the COVID-19 pandemic and strengthen the spirit of cooperative federalism. Thank you all.
Sir, are you hearing me, sir? Hello?
Madam, I'm concluded, madam.
Are concluded?
Yes, madam, of course.
So anybody questions? Please ask. Ask your questions in chat box. Are you interested to ask also directly to the speaker? If no questions, I conclude the session. Okay. Now it is a time of vote of thanks. I thank you, our management, our principals, and heartily thanks to Dr. Amir Pasha for his
Thank you, madam.
wonderful speech. Sir, your explanation is very good and you have collected more information. And Dr. Amir Pasha is, when I am inviting to as a speaker of today's session, he accepted me the invitation and cooperate with me and collect useful information. And not only he has have the number of the resourceful, as well as he attended so many seminars. He presented more than 50 papers, and also he has a coordinator of NCC, NSS, and also cultural coordinator, NAC coordinator. So he has working number of force. So behalf of all our managements and our colleagues, our department, I am thankful to you, sir. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you.